Welcome to this Mikrotik tutorial. We'll be looking at about 4 sections or 5 sections of the tutorial. We have the basic and initial setup. We'll be talking about the addressing, DHCP server, dynamic pool, DNS, network, DNS, IP pool, firewall, or source NAT. We'll be looking at gateway or default route. We'll also be looking at the intermediate configuration, which is hotspot setup, user profile, bandwidth distribution, IDO and access time management, bypass clients, which is IP binding, exempted servers and IPs, which is wall gardens. We'll also be looking at additional settings like files and backup, identity, SNTP client and NTP client, clock, neighbor services, packages, watchdog, terminal, web proxy also come here. We also dive into an advanced configuration of the user man, the reader server. We'll be looking at what is reader server to set up a reader server, what is user man, customer under user man, users one or batch creation of users under the user man, the profiles needed for tickets under the user man, user man maintenance. Then we'll be looking at the professionals configuration or the routing section. We have the OSPF, failover, BGP, port forwarding, queues. Now, today we'll be looking at these 6 basic things for you to have to connect a new clean router to internet. All you need to do is, first of all, you need address. You need to set up DHCP, DNS, the IP pool, and the firewall plus the gateway. You are home. Now, the first thing you do is you connect to your Winbox. To connect to Winbox, you can also download. If you don't have one on your system, you can go to Mikrotik, the URL here, and you have the recent version at the time of this recording to be 3.4. I've already downloaded it. All you need to do is connect. I'm going to exit. You connect and search through the Winbox on the available you have. I have that and I'm connecting to that one. Now, before I go on, I want you to take a look at the Winbox. You have the menu bar on this section. You have the title here. The title is telling me the username, the IP or the MAC address of the Winbox, the identity or the name given to the router by the user of the administrator, the Winbox version of the OS 6.18, and the type of device or router. We have RB2011 high head and the brand given. Now let's take a quick look at what we have here. For now, we have nothing, no setting, nothing, just a brand new. If you want to go back to a default setting, all you need to go to system, you see reset configuration. Make sure you select this, no default backup, no default configuration, and click on reset until reboot. In the next 30 seconds we are back in from here. Now this kind of router I'm using here from Mikrotik has 10 ports and 2 octave. You can see how connected or running, then the other one also showing R, which is running and connected. Those are the 2 ports. I will be using the Int'l one as my gateway to the internet, whereas I'll be using the Int'l 6 as my local network that I'll be browsing from. Now let's First of all, go to address. Now we go to address. We have to have the idea of the IP we want to use when it comes to address. So I'm having my gateway address. I'm also having my local network address. So for the gateway, I'm going to have something like 192.168 0.10. Actually, this IP will have to be a public IP instead of a private IP. It says that it has to be an IP given to you by your provider. It can be anything 32, 10, 15.1 or anything whatsoever, but for now there is the IP I'm using as my gateway, and my local network is going to be, I'm going to actually use class B 192.16.0.1, and I'm going to use /24 this time around. Now that will be my local IP. So let's apply this to our address. Go back to Windows address to access the IP addresses. That's the first thing, 192.168.0.1.10 rather, and we click OK. Now also know that most cases you can be given slashes, notation can be /29, but here I'm going to use /22. So let's apply. Next thing I'm going to do is add another address for the local network. That's interface 6, as you have seen from here. And from the setup, we are planning to use this as our local IP. /24. Leave the network to automatically apply the network for you. Now one other thing we can do is we can rename the interface for easy identification. So I'm going to use this one as gateway, and I'm going to rename this as local. Now one other thing here is I will be introducing bridge. Later on. So these are two addresses we'll be working with. Now the next thing for my agenda will be DHCP servers. So let's create a DHCP server. To create a DHCP server, you go to IP, DHCP server, click on the default tab. From the menu you can see DHCP setup. Just click on it. Now I'm creating DHCP based on the local. So what do? Remember, the IP address is being applied to local, my local network. So what we do, local, next, and the address pool. Now as we are going on, I want you to take note at pool. We have it empty, and I'm going to put it down immediately we create it. I want the pool to start from 21 and end at 254. Once I say next, the DNS, since I didn't create it first, is left blank for now. Can always come back. DNS server is missing. Okay. Now it did not create it because the DNS server is missing. So I think the next item we should be creating after addressing should be DNS, not a DHCP server. So I'm going to remove this. And put it here. So we'll be working with DNS first. So our DNS here will be 19. The address we want in particular 172.16.0.1, and if you allow, we'll be applying and click OK. That will be our DNS for now. So what next? We go back to our DHCP server that couldn't work the other time. Just click on DHCP setup local, like I've explained, and let me go back. The interface is local, TCP address space, the network is .0, 172.16.0.0 is the network, not .1. .1 is the gateway. Is the interface IP that is applied, and is this subnet notation is /24. Now this is the gateway actually, which is the interface that is applied to. And like I said, the IP pool here that we went to IP pool will be applied here. So I'm starting from 21 rather than what the Mikrotik is giving me. I click on next, and the DNS is already applied. Remember, we added the DNS the other time here. So whatever you put here will automatically be added here. And once I click next, the least time, meaning that the dynamic giving out of IP to client system asking for DHCP will be 3 days. So I click next, and boom, it's created. You can see from here that it's created based on network DHCP1, and the DHCP pool is automatically created. So I've created 2 things using just a kind of default setup. Now network is also created. Leases will be noticed very soon. Now leases are the areas that shows client connected, their MAC address, and the IP given out from DHCP server. Now let's move on. The next thing we'll be looking at is, we've seen a IP pool, we've covered IP pool. We'll be looking at gateway. Let's take a look at firewall before we come back to gateway. Now to handle firewall, you go to IP firewall, as you can see, click on add, the address is the source. I'm trying to hide any IP that is 172.1.0.0/24. Remember, I'm hiding a network address this time around, not the interface. All these address should be hidden. You come to action, instead of accept, you masquerade it, you hide it, and it will be using the gateway. The other way you can use is to use interface, and the interface will be gateway, but I'm not going to use that method. I would rather prefer hiding the source IP. So action, masquerade, apply, OK. So if you come to firewall, masquerade, you can give it comment. Comment will be source NAT. Source NAT, I've hide that address or network. So the last thing I'll be working on will be the routes. And there we have some routes that are dynamic created of the, remember we created the addresses then. These are the default routes. These are the dynamic routes. I'm going to, you can see from here, dynamic, active, and connected. Those are the DAC. But I'm creating a default route, all networks /0, and the gateway will be 192.168.0. Your interface you are going out, you can see here, you can put the slash, sorry, it won't take the slash. That's why. The other way is for you to select the interface, but I prefer the IP, because meaning you 100% know what is going on within your network when you make use of the IP rather than the interface. Interface can go bad, but when you change IP, you quickly make adjustments in other locations too. Now the distance will be 1, and all you need to do is apply. It will automatically dictate which interface is having this IP. Let's take a look at it. It's unreachable. It's telling us it's unreachable now. Now, this is a very good something we need to take note of. Let me put the /22 there. Double feed or double non-zero IP selection is expected. So for now I will get over that. Let me just use the gateway. It's reachable now. Then let's take a look if we can browse again. Cannot browse it yet. Okay, think it's accessible now. Let's take a look at the reachable on that gateway. Reachable. The local. I'm going back to DHCP server, checking. Okay, it has given it actually an IP. Let's check our DNS. Let's try to change the DNS to 88.8.8. Actually, this is a Google DNS. So what we do is we actually delete this and expect we hope the client, you can disconnect your cable and reconnect. So I've just done that. You can see the router being disconnected, and we're actually connecting back, and go back to DHCP server and see if it's gotten another MAC. Yes, so automatically it will have given it the new DNS, and boom, it's already browsing with the new DNS. You can see with the new DNS I can go to any sites. Now take notes. You guys out there will be asking two questions. Why is it that I have to change the DNS and it's not working? And why is it that the default route, the IP given, wasn't working? And one other area you have to take note of the firewall. Remember, I use source IP rather than the interface. So you can use any of this. Then here too, the same thing applies here when you come to the gateway. You can also use the interface instead of the IP. But now you guys will be looking, why not working? Now I will tell you why it's not working. Now remember that I use an IP 192.168.0.10 and apply reachable. Now what you need to do is look at, let's go back to how we started. We use an IP.10 as the IP of the interface of this client, but based on this, if you go back to this address, you can see that this address up here has a notation of /22. Now in the default route, all I need to do is put the gateway of that subnet, and the gateway of that subnet will be .1, not 10. I'm not connecting to the client, but rather I'm connecting to my ISP gateway. So here is your ISP gateway rather than the interface IP. So I'm going to tell you what is happening here. So we have here that's ISP gateway IP. So if I click on apply, you can see boom, it's already giving us reachable on ETA1, which is the gateway. Now let's take a look at it. If you can get to the internet, boom, it's browsing. Boom. Let's let's go to default documentation. Boom, it's browsing. So you can also check the interface. I'm going to close this, and I'm likewise going to clear this, minimize this. You can see the bandwidth I'm taking now. Let me actually go to an heavy site. And watch the bandwidth now. You can see 3 MB, bps 2.8 Mbps coming in. So that is how to do a Mikrotik initial configuration. Now I'm going to stop here. Next thing I'll be talking about is the intermediate, which is the hotspot.